Okay, I think I'm live. I am live. So let's recap what we did today in today's lesson. So we went to page 220. And what we want to do is sketch polynomial graphs, okay? So what I'm going to do is read the directions and think about it. Now, it's a quartic. So since it's a quartic, I know that some quartics look something like this. They look something like the W, okay? And the W could be in lots of different places, lots of different shapes, okay? Since it's a quartic also, we know it's degree 4. And we must have 4 roots. So some roots are going to be real, and some roots are going to be imaginary. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm recording. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay? Yeah. So, distinct, real distinct, what they're really saying is real roots. And that's real roots, the same thing as where it's got to cross the x-axis, okay? That's kind of like when it says real distinct. Real roots are where it crosses the x-axis. We know there's got to be 4 roots always. So I could have 4 real places that it crosses the x-axis. Well, how about here, 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 and here? And so my graph could look something like that. Okay? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 roots, and they're distinct because they all go through the x-axis. Okay? All right, so far so good. Now, one root, and multiplicity, which means it can go through it many times. So it could go through the same point many times. Since we only have one, and there has to be 4 roots, it's going to go through the same spot 4 times. Okay, so watch. This point right here. We're going to go through this point 4 times. We're going to go through it. Go up, down, through it, up, down, up again. Okay, I'll do it again. We go through it once, up 2, down 3, and then up again. So it's going through this one point. Like, you know, really minusculely. It's a point's very, very small. In fact, it's infinitesimally small, but it goes through it 4 times. So it goes down, back up, down, and then back up, okay? This one's got 1 real root, and then 2 of these are going to have a multiplicity of 2, okay? So let's see how that works, okay? So I'm going to have 1 real root, and I'm going to have it's going to go through this one 3 times. Let's go through it 3 times because I have to have 4 roots, right? So I'm going to go through this one, easy, right? Just go through it. That's my real distinct root. But it's going to go through this one. It goes up through it, back down, and back up through it again, okay? Anytime you got a triple root like that, it has a little bend to it, okay? We'll look at that more later. Okay, again, 4 roots. So 2 of them are here. Okay, 1 real, multiplicity with 2. And then we'd have to have 2 other real roots to make a total of 4. So let's see, I could have a 1, 2 roots here, and then I'll make this one happen more than once. So I have to make that one happen twice. So it's going to go through this root, and now when it goes to this one, it goes through it, and then it goes back up, okay? So that's a multiplicity of 2. Okay, 2 real, okay? But multiplicity, so I got to have 4 roots. I still have to have 4 roots. So it's going to have to go through these 2 points twice. So it's going to go through this one twice and this one twice. So it's going to come through, it goes through it, back up. Goes through, goes back through it again, back up. So it goes through it twice like that, okay? Now, it's going to have no real roots. So it's going to have 4 imaginary. Because remember, it's got to have 4 roots. So the imaginary are like these squiggles. So watch. I'm going to draw it, and I'll show you what's going on, okay? So if I could have lowered it down, it might have had a root here, it might have had a root here, it might have had a root here, and it might have had a root here, but it got pulled up. So these are my 4 imaginary. We're going to talk about those more another day. Okay, now, let's look at this one. 2 reals. Okay, so I got 2 reals. I'll go 1, 2 reals. There's my 2 reals. And then I've got, again, 4 roots. So I'm going to have 2 imaginary, okay? So it's going to have a squiggle like this for the 2 imaginary. And then it's going to have 2 reals. So it's going to go through this one. There's 1, 2. There's my 2 reals. And then it's going to do a little squiggle like this because my imaginary kind of there and there. Kind of like if I'd slid this down, I'd have those 2, okay? Okay, remember there's 4 roots. So if I'm going to have one real, it's got to have a duplicity of 2. So that's where it's the touch and go. So I'm going to have 1 here, but I'm going to hit it twice. I'm going to hit this point twice. So it's going to go through and hit that same point twice, goes through it, back up, and then I got to have a squiggle for my 2 imaginary like that. Those 2 would be my imaginary. Okay? So that's what we had for homework. I had the kids do the other page, but with a quintic. Again, give it a try. If this is confusing to you, I'll go over it again in class. Okay, that's all I have. I will see you all on Monday.